Hello, everyone. First, what we do. Latakoo is inventing the future of secure content transfer, combined with workflow automation that heightens efficiency at scale in massive organizations. Today, Latakoo is an established video workflow company used by some of the world's largest enterprise media corporations to move high-quality video from inhospitable locations around the globe to secure broadcast facilities in major cities.
So broadcast journalists often transfer video from areas with slim to no bandwidth. And our automation shoots that video from the public internet through firewalls onto private corporate networks, where Latakoo delivers the media in the precise format required by the recipient's technology. This Latakoo workflow is all about speed, quality, security, and efficiency.
That's right. And Latakoo is already a leader at creating cloud-native solutions that make it easier to transfer and work with video. We are fully interoperable with both the tenured tools used on-prem by professionals right now, as well as tech that lives only on the web.
We hold several patents, including one for a soon-to-be-released revolutionary transfer protocol called Generative. It uses whatever bandwidth is available between the sender and the receiver to deliver the highest quality video possible in real time, while after the fact delivering full quality.
Latakoo was founded in 2010 right here in Austin, Texas. Paul, Adrian, and I both spent about 20 years in broadcast television, where we learned every system practically used for video collaboration and transfer. Before launching Latakoo, we found that there was a big hole in the offerings in the marketplace for video transfer and collaboration.
Jade Kurian and I are joined on the Latakoo executive team by our Chief Technical Officer, Joe Palaio, a former naval officer. Richard Metzler, our video PhD, developed Generative after listening to the needs of the entertainment industry. And Jacob Weib, a PhD economist, leads our finance team as Chief Financial Officer.
Latakoo is bootstrapped, capital efficient, taking on very little investment to date. We're software as a service company that has been profitable for 5 years, making several $1 million in annual recurring revenue. And we're growing. Here are our metrics: 59% ARR growth, 2020 over 2019, 158% net revenue retention, and about 1% revenue churn. We've not just closed out 2021 yet. Latakoo is the go-to solution for the world's top broadcasters. The Nexstar Media Group is the largest station group in America today. It uses Latakoo at its stations in 113 different US TV markets.
The Broadcast Vendor Trade Association, IABM, chose Latakoo as its Company of the Year in 2020. It also nominated Jade Kurian as Technology Leader of the Year. The industry publication TV News Check named Jade as a futurist in its Women in Technology Awards. Our integration partners also speak volumes about Latakoo's ability to serve our market with a scalable and secure service.
Latakoo now seeks new markets and partnerships where this proven technology can make a difference, like government. In 2021, Latakoo won a Phase 1 AppWorks grant, allowing us to find a partner in the US Air Force. We did, and now Latakoo is under consideration for a much larger Phase 2 grant. We believe this mission-critical workflow, forged in the world's most challenging environments and used by video professionals, is ready for a broader market, including government, major non-media corporations, and the millions of people creating, collaborating over, and distributing video.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Tim.
Hey, Paul and Jade, how are you?
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you guys too. And I really appreciate your presentation again. One of the identified problems that we've had over the last decade plus has been the proliferation of sensor devices on the battlefield that require greater and greater bandwidth to get the data back to folks who are going to review it. Can you explain how, maybe in better detail, that specific use of your technology could help on the battlefield? Does that make sense?
Yes, and so two answers for you. One is the basic system that is used today by major broadcasters all over the world. And in particular, they have the same problem that you described, Tim, which is they don't know what the internet connectivity is going to be until they arrive. I mean, it could be out in Afghanistan covering your troops. It could also be at a stadium with 100,000 people hitting the cellular bandwidth at the same time. So sometimes you got a little bit of bandwidth, sometimes you have a lot. The other things you don't know is what is the data you're sending? And that comes in all shapes and sizes. If it's video, it could be something totally uncompressed, or it could be highly compressed already. And finally, the device you're using to send the content. What are the resources available? Because those vary. Is it a little phone? Is it a radio? Is it a laptop? Is it a tablet? Is it a great big computer? How fast can it encode video? And so what Latakoo does in the moment is to assess those three things: internet connectivity, hardware device resources, and the data that's being sent. And it provides in the moment the solution that's going to work best for getting it into the cloud quickly, and also for getting it there at the highest quality possible. So that's what we have today that's already in use by major broadcasters all over the world. Now where we're going, and this is the really exciting technology that I think has profound implications for the US Army potentially. And that is generative. And what generative does is it takes a file, in particular a video file, but it can do it with other types of data as well, and it breaks it down and makes it entirely scalable. So we take whatever codec you give us, we immediately change it to our intermediate codec called generative, and then we send the highest quality image for that bandwidth, whether it's less than a megabit or whether it's, again, a great big pipe that you have. So in real time, you're always going to get the best quality visual data as you possibly can, but the rest of the data is going to flow after the fact. So if you're out on the front line, you're trying to access something like a data repository that's important for you to make critical decisions, this is for the data transfer that you have for that accessibility is going to give you the best image possible.
Yeah, and most video codecs today are manufactured or sorted for storage. They're thinking about storage. We are looking at this from a transfer perspective. So this codec is built for transfer, and actually our chief scientist is here somewhere in one of these boxes. And if he wanted to contribute, he could.
Hi all, Richard Metzler here, chief scientist at Latakoo. Yeah, Jada and Paul, that was great. The one thing I would add is, while our technology was initially really constructed for video and looking at that, we knew we were going to have to conform to changing video needs, growing resolutions, growing bit depths, data stored in kind of non-traditional formats that you typically find within video today. So what that meant was we had to build this thing very flexible. So it's not just video, it's not just images. Pretty much any type of structured data, anything you can put on the grid in however many dimensions, however complex, you can put in labels. It doesn't just have to be numerical data. This thing can handle it and process it in the same way.
So you are doing, you're compressing, uploading, decompressing. Is that kind of right?
Yes, that's correct. And also some adaptation, protocol adaptation in between.
So do you enable real-time streaming, or are you sending discrete snippets of video in less than real time?
So generative is built to do that, extremely low delay streaming. Depending what setting there, really that's defined on the consumer side. So the consumer says what kind of delay they can tolerate, and you give them the best data they can at that delay. But it could be down as far as the tens of milliseconds.
So does this take a special piece of hardware, or can this be a software solution I'm thinking specifically at the transmission end?
Yes and no. So this is a software solution, but it's specifically designed for GPU compute. So it's super scalable on modern hardware, even those found on phones and such.
And Tom, I'd like to point out one other thing is really the way we make our living today. One of the big value adds that we have is our service completely interoperable with the systems that you use. And if you think broadcasters, the machinery that they had in these television stations basically was sold to them was very proprietary. Lock-in was a big part of the business model. So it's sort of the opposite business model of the web today, where if you bought any piece of their machinery, some of these companies intentionally made it hard for you to use other vendors' products. And so what Latakoo has done is we've come into this industry and we've taken our service, we've integrated into all these traditional tools. And again, I think US military has a lot of traditional hardware tools that are not necessarily friendly with the rest of the world in terms of technology. And so what we do is we always provide the content to the receiver in a way that they can consume it depending on the decisions that they've made technology-wise.
And last question, is there a path to get this on phone?
Yeah, this is David. I have a question. I'd like to know if Paul and them are familiar with a company out of Israel called Speed Size.
Speed size? Is that right?
Speed Size.
No,
Nope.
I'm
No.
not.
I asked you to send me your email address in the chat. If you have, I should connect you guys because you're in the same space.
Awesome.
Okay, great.